All right, good morning, guys. Today is March the 23rd, and as usual, we'll be analyzing US 30, gold, and EU. So yesterday we did two sessions. For the day, we did the morning session, and then we did do an FOMC live trading session. So during the FOMC live trading session, we were able to be up for the day 1.25% because we did take a sell on EU during the news candle or after the first news candle. So we did catch a sell for 0.5% gain. And then we caught another sell on EU, but we got stopped out before EU retraced all the way down. So we lost that 0.5%. Now, if you did trade with me in the morning, we were down 0.5%. And then we were waiting for trades on US 30. So we got some fake outs, but then we waited for a perfect confirmation and got in with a 1.25% risk. And we were able to make, ideally, if you traded with me since the morning and through FOMC, you should have been up yesterday 0.75. If you just traded with me during FOMC, you should have been up 0.12 or 1.25% for the day. And also I did go over a new strategy. So this indicator that we use for the high-low indicator, there's a setting within it that has the change. Is this it? Yeah, inputs. So this change bar color. So once you enable that, the bars, the color of the bars goes with the trend. So if the bars are red, it means the trend is bearish. If the bars are green, and you can change those colors to your liking. The bars are green, like for example, on my chart, it means the trend is bullish. So that is actually what I use to get into. So for you guys who know in the group, so I did send, so I'm already up for the day close to 2%. So the sell I entered for gold, so I saw this break or change in trend. So we had a sell, a bearish trend on the 5-minute. But remember, for gold and EU, you'd rather use the 15-minute time frame because after backtesting that strategy, I find the 15-minute time frame for gold and EU to be better off. For US 30, you can use the 5-minute time frame for that trend change. So this particular trade or strategy, we're trying to catch reversals. But so since this for me appeared, so I normally go to the gym at like 5 a.m. So it was around London session and I was up like at 3 a.m. charting and everything. So I saw this. So since yesterday, right, or for a very long time, we've had a bullish trend on gold on 5-minute, right? And I knew gold was in a supply zone. So I literally waited for the formation of the first bearish candle or downtrend. So this was an actual bearish candle, but it was also a bearish trend. So when this candle formed, I waited for the retest of the 9 EMA. So you can get in on impulse or just wait for the retest of the 9 EMA. So remember, this particular confluence, you also need to use some of our confluences. If you're going to enter on impulse, make sure you have a wide stop loss to survive any move. So I entered the sell here. And also, okay, so I also took a short on EU. So for gold, my sell was that. I entered with a big lot size, as you guys saw. And this, ideally, this is going to be one of those trades that we can pass a challenge with just using 4 trades a month or 3 trades a month. So for this one, I went for a 50 pip take profit and 50 pip stop loss. I was actually risking, the risk was high on this. I was risking actually it wasn't high. I was risking 0.25, no, 2.5%. Yeah, I was risking 2.5%. So that's a big risk, right? But with these trades, if we are looking for only 4 trades in a month, we only need to catch 3 of these trades to pass phase 1. Is it 3? About 3 of these trades to pass phase 1. The other thing I noticed, gold, I prefer this strategy with US 30 because US 30 is more volatile. So I was stuck in this trade for about 4 hours. I knew there was news here. So if you guys have noticed for my strategies, I don't want to say I don't care about news, but if I trust my strategy, I am gonna hold that position. And if I get taken out, like for me, I knew this this was a valid trade. So I got stuck in this trade. You can go for 20 pips. The other thing, instead of going for 50 pips, I could have gone for 20 pips, and then I would have been in profit immediately, like after 15 minutes. So I think in future, because I want to automate this, so I'm working with a program of mine to automate this strategy. In a way that you can just set alert and then it gets taken on your MT4. So I'm currently working on that. I should have a prototype today because my programmer is pretty quick. So that's a plus. So I was stuck in this trade. I really wanted the 50 pips to hit. But if I went for 20 pips, you can see 20 pips would have hit like after 10 minutes. So I held this trade, went up like 45 pips, came back up, and slight drawdown, came back down. It ranged. There was news at 8, like GBP news, I believe. And then it went up before the 8:30 news, the unemployment claims. And then after news, I saw this break. And guess what, right? You can see this demand zone. Looking at our Discord where I normally send the trades, if I go to commodities, and that's the gold. So gold markups for today, look at that demand zone, right? So I told you guys, it's up to you guys for some of these trades to set pending orders. So I don't want to be, personally, I don't like trading before New York open unless I get such a trade. But for this one, if you see this supply zone, so supply zones are highlighted in red, demand zones are highlighted in green. So if you see these zones, you can even ask me like in the Discord, hey, what's that demand zone? Like what price zone is it in? Because you can see, unless you can't see it clearly here, you can ask me what's the high of that supply or demand zone, what's the low of it, and I'll just let you know. But in some of these instances, like I can't do everything for you guys. I wish I could, but I can't. But guess what, right? I wrote this my trade hit profit for 50 pips, and guess where gold reversed from? Right there, exactly at the demand level. So keep in mind, I am still bullish on gold. I expect gold to go to 2050, but I could not resist this sell right here. After all of that trend on the 5-minute for like 2 days, gold reversed exactly from this demand area and shot all the way up. So where do I see gold going? Honestly, I don't feel like trading gold today. I'm not looking for an asset that's moving slowly, but we do have a supply zone within a supply zone. So the top of this supply zone is, so this is the zone that's highlighted that has a darker shade of red. But you can see overall, we are in a supply zone, right? We are in a sell zone already. So the high of this zone is about 1985. The low is 1980. So you can set sell orders between this zone. But honestly, personally, I would look to sell gold because if I go to the left of this chart, I know there's a place we've gotten to 2000. Yeah. So I see at the very least, I would be looking to sell gold at 2014. So right here, I think they can easily break this up and continue trending up. So right now, I am not looking at, also this chart is it's too colorful and it's burning my eyes. I don't want to, I can get rid of that supply zone, but I've already made my money in gold. EU, I did the same thing, right? EU has been trending up this whole time, right? Look at that. Bullish, 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 bullish. And then I saw we're in a supply zone within a supply zone. Guess what I did? Waited for the first change in trend. Sold EU literally here. I sold with a 2.5 lot. I took my profit at, I was going to take profit at 100 pips, but I took profit at 40 pips. So that there is the strategy. This is the sell I took. I could have sent, so I'm still testing this out. And the best thing is after I get this automated, I should be able to be sending these trades to you guys in the Discord. So just 1 second. Yeah, I should be able to be sending these trades to you guys in the Discord. So for EU, this is what I did. I saw the red candle. I waited for the retest of the 9 EMA. I did, what did I do? Okay. Came in here. Ideally, I wanted to go for 100 pips. My stop loss is 20 pips. There you go. For this trade, let's see if 100 pips could have hit. Not yet. I took my profit at 40 pips. So ideally for this one, for EU, we normally do at 1:1. So 20 pips stop loss, 20 pips. And actually EU, I actually used a small lot size. I should have used a big one, but it's fine. So, but with a 2.5 lot, you guys see that I almost make 0.5% for the day. And remember, we only need to make 0.5% in a day to pass a challenge in 2.5 weeks. So for this one, so ideally, if not 20 pips, take profit, I use 50 pips. So let's see. And that one would have almost hit. I think I took profit somewhere around here. So the trade would still be running and you would have been at break even. But for me, I took profit at 40 pips and just let it go. But I'm still, and you can see now we've started having like a bullish change in trend. But right now I am looking for EU. Look at the hourly. What do I see? I see head and shoulders forming. So left shoulder, head. So I am looking for EU to come back up. So this is a possible buy on EU. So we are at a 30-minute bullish low and 30-minute bullish high. So we can possibly, so if I trade again today, I am not risking, if I'm already up 1.5% or 1.6% for the day, I am not trying to risk that much. So I do see a buy zone here. It's within a 30-minute bullish high, 15-minute bullish high, and 30-minute bullish low. If EU is to create another right shoulder, we can see that the sell zone, the next sell zone is around this zone right here, around the hourly bearish low. So EU is possibly headed there, but I don't know if we already missed it. So what I'm gonna do here is get my trend line, draw a hanging trend line right there. Here, that's actually the candle that would have been a buy, because this candle came, closed above the 30-minute bullish high and almost ideally tapped the trend line. So this would be the buy right now, but I'm not going to chase it. I'm going to wait for price to come back down. But that's the buy on EU, but we missed that just by a couple of minutes. But I still see, so keep in mind, right? If that trend line is to hold, price is going to come back down there. So no need to jump in early and get trapped. So price is going to come back down. So this is the buy for EU. 20 pips profit. But if you want to ride it all the way up there, feel free to create that head and shoulders. 200. So 20 pips stop loss, 50 pips take profit, but this is too high. I would give this, let's see where 20 will be. No, it should be, keep forgetting. EU and gold, you have to add a 0. Perfect. So it would be 20 pips take profit, 20 pips, and we are in a bullish trend. So on the 5-minute, let's see on the 15-minute. Perfect. So keep in mind, EU still hasn't. So the way I told you guys for EU and gold, it's better to use the 15-minute to get that change in direction. So to me, based on backtest, but if you want to use the 5-minute, feel free. I only use that 5-minute on US 30. So for this trade, since I'm already up heavily for the day, I'll only risk, excuse me. Let's see. I don't want to risk too much. Yeah, honestly, for this trade, I will just go in with like a 2 lot or something. Yeah, 2 lots. That would be 0.25% risk, around 0.25%. So let's see on the 1-minute what's going on, but you can see price is being held. So ideally, the basis of this trade, we are looking for creation of a head and shoulder pattern. So this 1-minute is, so let's see how this 1-minute candle is closing. So we need a retest or closure above. So either we need this candle to close as is or not to break below that trend line. If you want to hop in early, you should be able to hop in early. So remember for EU, there's no need to miss an entry just because of a few, like 1 or 2 pips. So let's wait for it. We need a candle that closes above and retest that trend line exactly. We don't need a candle that's breaking down. So we do not need this. So we need a candle that's retesting this trend line and closing above. So if that hasn't happened yet, just let price keep doing its thing. I mean, you can see prices has gone below the trend line. So let's wait for that 5-minute candle. All right, US 30. Let's see what's going on with US 30. Okay, so we have a supply zone here. Look at that price reject. You can, so for these zones, you can always make pips from this supply. And I'm pretty sure that supply zone was there when I sent my markups this morning. There you go. There's that supply zone. So even before price got there, right? If you had a pending sell, went for 20 pips, right? You could have easily made that. So, right, remember how we deal with this supply and demand zones? If a supply and demand zone is like 20 pips, like just 20 pips, don't go for the whole 50 pips, take profit. Take your 20 pips and run. Now, if a supply zone is like 100 or 50 pips or 80 pips, then yeah, you can go for a larger take profit. But this small zones, like this is 20 pips. And for US 30, 20 pips is nothing, right? That's going to get blown away by one candle, possibly. We have a golden cross forming on US 30. So we have a possible buy. We have an hourly bullish low here. We have an hourly bullish high. So the entry, so the perfect entry here, we don't even have a trend line. The perfect entry here would be a retest of this 9 EMA. So we need price to come back up here. And since we don't have a trend line on the 5-minute, we can go on the 1-minute and see if we can find a trend line down here. So you can see how price is so far up. So I don't like crossing trend lines in between candles. So the only trend line here is that one. So this might be a trade that might come maybe after 15 or 20 minutes. So go back to the 5-minute. Yeah. So and you can see it lines up somewhere around here. So unless so this candle, if it closes above, so I'm still expecting US 30 to come back down and retest the golden cross. So for me, a buy would be around this zone, 50 pips, take profit, 50 pips, stop loss. And again, for me today, I'm not risking that much because I'm already up heavily. And ideally, that's why you guys need to learn these strategies and do it by yourselves. So like how I know, like Livy today, I know you said you made a killing with these strategies on NZD USD. So it just goes to show you, if you just do it by yourself, you just, like for me, you can be catching maybe 0.25% or something, but these strategies, you can definitely make money. Yeah, so gold, I am looking for gold so since, I don't know if anybody caught this buy when I sent the markups when price wasn't even there yet, but if you haven't caught this buy yet, no need to FOMO in. No need to sell to try and sell here. You can see that the trend has started changing to bullish. So for me, gold in any sell, I would be looking at 2014 area. And I do see gold heading there. The only possible buy on gold would be a retest of the 9 EMA, but I am not looking to buy when we have a supply zone within a supply zone that's right there. And I already made my money today from gold. So EU, same thing. We need closure. Okay, so we are at the 30-minute bullish low. Let's see what's happening at the 30-minute bullish low. So we have a retest on the 1-minute, right? Because this is the last possible buy, or even a better buy for this. So we have a retest. I like how price is retesting, closing above, but the trend is still red. So US 30 is bullish, gold is bullish, EU is 50-50. So if EU comes back up, if we get a nice retest on the 1-minute and close above the 30-minute and 15-minute bullish low, and a closure above the 9 EMA, we will, that can be a possible buy. but yeah, that can be a possible buy. So if you get that, if you get a closure above and retest of the 9 EMA, that can be a possible buy, but you need that confirmation. And this is on the 1 minute. So since we didn't get a confirmation above here on this trend line, we need a confirmation here. And a better yet, closure above the 30-minute bullish low, 15-minute bullish low. And then for even better confirmation, closure above the 9 EMA on the 1 minute and retest of the 9 EMA and closure above. So yeah, nothing yet for US 30 and EU. Does anybody have any questions so far? Also, looks like I have to step away in like 4 minutes. I forgot I need to make a quick call. Hopefully I'll be only gone for 10 minutes or so. But does anybody have any questions? No? No. Also, I don't know if any of this, so look at that, that's nice retest. So we need like this retest closure above one even better entry. You need a closure above the 9 EMA and retest of the 9 EMA for a better confirmed entry. I don't know if any of the admins in here have any time to maybe run the session for 10 or 15 minutes when I'll be gone, but if not, I can just come back. I'll just leave the session going and then I'll come back because I forgot I have to make a call at 10. All right, so that's what we want. Now, if this candle closes above the 9 EMA, then yes, I would say that's good. Don't want it to go too far up. So 39 seconds. Let's see. I forgot what lot size did I say I was gonna use? I said I was gonna use like a 2 lot, yeah. So 200 pips. And okay, so I just hopped in. It's about to close. I don't think it's gonna close on the bearish. Okay, so that's the trade I'm in. I am only risking 0.25%, I think. So 20 pips stop loss, 20 pips take profit. So that is the trade. I have to go. I'll leave this trade running. I'm still here, but I just have to mute myself and just take that call. I don't know if any admins have either Dean or Audrey or Steven. I don't know if you guys are in here. If not, I'll just come back. I should be gone for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And you should be in profit, like no drawdown trade. So let me just mute myself. I'll leave this trade running and then I'll be back. All right.
I. Damn, I don't hear nothing. Send me that right there, please, man. And like I said, we're gonna be doing events, man. So it's important that we all connect. Especially when we done business together. Yeah, like the thing is, like.
All right, what's good, guys? I'm back. Hopefully I wasn't too long. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so this is the only trade we are in. So I do see US 30 is going to the upside. We did not get a retest of the trend line. The only test was this hourly bullish, low bullish high. That's fine. Let it go. So now that we have this reversal strategy, if you see a trade going, just it's fine. Let it go. When you get the reversal, like you will be able to make a good amount of bank. So let's see where US 30 is likely to go, right? So we do not, the next supply area or potential sell area is all the way here. So right here, we have a 15-minute bullish low that's aligned with the Friday high. So this might be a potential buy, but I don't want to. And you guys can mute yourself. I think I've set it to mute on entry. This is a potential buy, but I do not want to buy US 30 at this point. I would rather wait for the sell to come. So we do have a 15-minute bullish high and bullish low here. But again, remember, I've seen this bullish zones or bearish zones being used as the reversal. So I can see a potential sell when US 30 comes in. So remember, we still need a retest. So there goes our golden cross, but we still need a retest either of the 9 EMA or of the trend line. But look at where price is right now, right? And look at where the trend line is. So if we get a retest of the trend line, it's more than likely going to fall on the hourly bullish low area. So now this would be an even better buy. So I do see US 30 going up this way, coming back down, retesting this trend line. Let's see if the trend line has been established on the 1 minute. Yeah, so it's still a wider trend line, because if I draw this trend line here, I'll be cutting through candles, and so I can draw the trend line this way, but this is just ideally forcing a trend line, right? Because somebody can say, why not here? Why not here? So I'd rather at this point just use the first and second points. And then at that point, just go to the 5 minute, wait for price to come back and touch the trend line. And then at that point, look at where price would be, right? It would be around the 9 EMA or the hourly bullish low. So right now, US 30 is definitely bullish. No need to look for any buys. Gold is selling. Let's see. Gold is selling, but it's still in a bullish. You can see the trend is bullish. EU, so this is the only trade we're in. It went up how many pips? So this is when I had to get off the call for a few minutes. 820, almost went up like 80 pips in profit. But you can see this is what we want to see, right? So we have a possible trend line, or we do have a trend line on the 1 minute. This way, let's see if it's holding on the 5 minute. So we have that. And we do have that on the 5 minutes. So I will delete, I don't know when did I draw this trend line, that first one? Give me a second. So we'll have, okay, so ideally, so we have two trend lines. This one is still valid on the 1 minute, so I'll leave it even on the 5 minute. So on the 5 minute, what this has created is a channel, right? So we have two ascending channels. So the worst thing, that what we don't want is for price to close below this trend line and retest and keep going down, right? But so long as price stays in this, on this trend line, and goes into this other upper channel, actually, so if price does come into this upper channel, that might be another opportunity to scale in or to add another buy. Because if we get a price closure above this trend line, it will be going into this ascending trend, and then we do get a closure above, retest and closure above, that might be another opportunity for a buy. But right now in the live session, this is the only trade. For this trade, I said I'm risking 0.25%. The only reason I'm doing that is that I'm already up heavily in profit for the day. If you guys saw the trades I took earlier on for gold sell and EU sell with our new strategy. So right now, I guess it's a turn of questions. If anybody has any particular question, now is the time to ask, because we are waiting on US 30 to come back down so that we can buy it here. And gold, I'm not looking for any trades on gold. If I was really to look for a trade on gold, I think I'm just, at this point, after the profit I made on gold this morning, I think I'm just kind of biased against it, because I don't want to risk the profits it gave me to try and catch something else. So that's the trend line on the 1 minute. I drew it on the 5 minute, but you can see it's holding on the 1 minute. Gold is bullish for me. So even gold, I'd be looking to buy, but I do not have any buy on gold. So US 30 is coming back down. Does anybody have any question?
Yeah, I got a question. The your markups for the you know, the daily high, previous day high, bullish high, etc. Is that what you do personally? Well, not personally, but is that what you do, or is that an actual trading view indicator that you can get off of trading view?
So it's stuff that I do personally. I mark them up manually.
Okay.
So in any chart, so ideally, just forget about the order blocks right now, the bullish highs and the bearish whatnot. So in any chart, regardless of those order blocks, I have a Monday high, Monday low, because ideally Monday is a manipulation day, so you want to see what price is going to do. Friday is a new thing I also did, right? Because also Fridays we have manipulation, so we also need to know what price is doing on Friday. So I have Monday high, Monday low, Friday high, Friday low, previous daily high, previous daily low. On Tuesday, I do not mark up a previous daily high and previous daily low because I already have a Monday high and Monday low. So the previous daily high, I started doing it on Wednesday, but I leave, so Monday is always static. It's never going to change from my chart. Friday is static, it doesn't change from my chart. Then I have the previous weekly high, previous weekly low, previous weekly open, and weekly open. Yeah, and then for these other ones, I mark the order blocks up manually. I start all the way from the weekly down to the 15-minute. Now the weekly to ideally, I guess, the 4-hour, more times than not, you won't change them during the week. You only have to do them once, right? Unless you have like erratic price movement during news, that's when maybe you need to re-strategize your 4-hour. So mostly I focus on the daily, 30-minute, hourly, and whatnot. Now, again, I recommend you guys to learn how to draw them by yourselves. If you do not, for some reason, want to learn and you want an automatic one, use the Smart Money Concepts indicator. Do the same thing. Start with the weekly. Find a zone. I don't know. Let me turn it off so that I can see what zones they are on the weekly. Okay. So for the weekly, we have a weekly high, weekly bearish high here. You can see mine is a bit higher. But ideally, so this is also a weekly bearish high on the Smart Money Concepts, but this one is all the way up here to down here. So if you're using that indicator, use the order blocks that are closest to price. So there's a weekly bullish high. I have to keep going back and forth. No, actually, the only bullish high is down here. So we have a weekly bullish high here, weekly bullish low. But for me, I think I have a weekly. Oh, I don't even have any weekly bullish zones. Okay. But then if I turn it off, well, let me turn off. I can turn off my. Okay, let me do this. Hide my drawings. Okay, this is better. So this is only the Smart Money, right? So for the Smart Money one, you have two sets of a weekly bullish high. So we have a weekly bullish high, weekly bullish low, weekly bullish high, weekly bullish low. I'm sorry, weekly bearish high, weekly bearish low, weekly bearish high, weekly bearish low, weekly bullish high, weekly bullish low. So personally, I would ignore this one because the one closest to price is this one. So I would ignore the top weekly bearish high zone. So same thing down to the 15-minute. If you're using that, if you want to use this indicator to draw the zones for you. So for me, if you use this indicator to draw the zones for you, sometimes those price points will align with mine. Most times they will not align. And sometimes it will just be a difference of a few pips. So it depends. Personally, I encourage people to learn how to draw order blocks by themselves. If you do not, or if you don't have time to do that, use this indicator to draw that. Yeah, so that's to answer your question. I do it by myself. If somebody does not have time to do so, they can use the SMC concepts indicator to have a quicker draw out of them.
And then, quick question, since we talk about indicators, the higher high and higher low indicator, what is that? Oh, it's okay, I see it right there, higher high.
Yeah, so it's this one right here, right? So if you, so this is what I'm having automated to help with our reversal strategy, but it's this higher high, low strategy, the one that has 5,396 downloads. But I'm having that indicator to also merge with our reversal strategy, and this will give us buy and sell signals. So for the people who love signals, this might be a good thing coming your way. My coder should have a prototype today, so I should be able to test that out. But for me, I traded that strategy today manually, and that's how I was able to catch. Did we miss US30? That's how I was able to catch that amount of profit in gold and EU. But at least, like, if we have an indicator that gives buy and sell signals, there are there's software out there that you can copy TradingView signals to MT4 if you want. I can also start maybe a Telegram or something such that trade is automatically sent there. And you guys, so there's a Telegram, also Telegram to trading to MT4 copier. Yeah, but this will ideally automate. Excuse me. And for this strategy, this is one of the strategies I'll be using to pass any again, I don't pass challenges here. I'm just talking about personally. But for me, to pass a challenge in only 4 trades, Because like today, you can see for gold, I used a 20, no, it was a 5 lot. Yeah, it was a 5 lot on gold. I ideally made, actually with the account size I was using, I should have used a 10 lot. But ideally, if I was using a 10 lot, I could have made 2.5%. So then what would I do? I would wait and then wait until I get another such trade. I do the same thing, make another 2.5%, wait for another third, and you're going to get a lot of these entries during the month. So with this strategy, and if we do get it on the live session, I'll be telling you guys I'm taking this trade and I'm going with a 2% risk. So if it happens on the live session, well and good. If it doesn't, you guys, I'll give you access to that setup so that you can trade even without me. But right now, if you want to use it,
go over it again. I missed it. Can you go over real quick?
Which on the high?
Yeah,
so,
how you use it.
Yeah. Make sure this is selected, right? Change bar color, right? Because if that's not selected, you can see your bar candles are just right, bullish, bearish, and all of that, right? But if you have the change bar color, what this does is it changes your candles to go with the trend. So what I did yesterday on gold, right? Like this was a no-brainer. Look at gold. When was the last time we had a bearish trend? So for gold and EU, I recommend using the 15-minute time frame. 5-minute time frame for gold and EU, for me, I think it's risky. For gold, if you're going to use the 5-minute time frame, go for 20 pips take profit. For me, I was willing to hold this for 50 pips, but go for 20 pips. That's just my own advice to you guys. If you want to go for 50 pips, well and good. But ideally, look at this, right? This was today, Thursday, 23rd March. On the 5-minute time frame, we do not have a single red. Definitely, of course, we have bearish candles, right? Because the way you'll know, if you have that setting checked, the way you'll know a candle is bearish, like this, I can tell is a bearish candle because so the body is green, right? But the outline of this candle is red, right? So this was Thursday, keep going. No bearish momentum at all. The last time we had a bearish momentum on gold was yesterday, actually, or since this is a 5-minute chart. So within one day, we did not have one bearish momentum since here yesterday. So guess what, right? We had this news price, right? So it goes up, it went up. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'm just waiting. And for me, since I wake up early because I have to go to the gym at 5 a.m., I saw we had a supply zone within a supply zone. So this is the time I started anticipating a bearish candle to form or a bearish trend to form. And guess what? I saw this bearish candle. Now, in that particular trade, you can either enter on impulse. If you're going to enter on impulse, with the trade setup, I'll be automating. It will ideally be entering on impulse because I can't yet code it to enter on a retest of 9 EMA. But because I was in front of the charts, I waited for this retest of the 9 EMA and I sold here on impulse. I did not have to wait for a retest or whatnot. Because the probabilities were on my side. We are in a supply zone within a supply zone. My stop loss was 50 pips. So I held this trade. So ideally, if it wasn't a news day, this trade would have gone straight into profit. But we also had a trend line here. On my MT4, I had a trend line. So for me, I held this trade just to make sure that, like I want to be confident about this trade. Like I could have cashed out here at 45 pips. So that's what I'm saying for gold or EU, you guys can easily do 20 pips with this trade. You can do a 10 lot here, catch 20 pips. You can do a 5 lot here, catch 20 pips. That is 5%, 1% in a day. So that is how you use that strategy. Now, right now, look at that. We changed from this. This is the perfect buy right here. I'd marked up a demand zone. Price went all the way up. But if you wanted to wait for a buy on gold, look at that change of trend. We're in a bullish trend. No need to buy on impulse. Sure, you could have bought on impulse and made your 20 pips here on gold. Again, for me, I don't like buying on impulse. I want a confirmed trade. Where would I buy here? I have my trend line drawn. Guess what? The trend line is aligning with the retest of 9 EMA. My entry or our entries, we always enter either on retest of structure, retest of 9 EMA, or retest of trend line. We get a perfect retest of trend line. For this strategy, you don't have to wait for a closure or anything. Enter right here. So this, again, personally, I wasn't looking for any trade on gold, but this was a buy on gold right here. If you want to go for 20 pips, ideally, but for gold, I recommend using a 50 pip stop loss. But if you want to go for 20 pips right there, you're in profit. If you wanted for this candle to close, again, you're in profit, because guess what? The trend is your friend. And that's how you make money on that. If you wanted to go for 50 pips, I think the trade would still be running. Yeah, there you go. So this is easy. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's easy money. If you want to forget about any other strategy I have and start using this strategy, there is no need of you losing trades. Does that make sense? Like how I went over that strategy?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Was there anybody else?
Can you run down that strategy? So like all the steps, like 1, 2, 3, like that.
Okay, for that particular strategy, give me 1 second. Which strategy? The one for reversal, the one I just talked about?
Yeah, the one you just talked about.
Okay, give me 1 second right here. I see an entry. US 30 is coming back for an entry. You guys should be in profit on EU. This is where I was talking about. Watch this. If you want to add a position, you need this candle to close above that trend line. So we are retesting that trend line. But if you want to add on to that position, personally, I wasn't risking a lot. If I was trading, if I hadn't made any profits, I would have risked 0.5%. So I would have gone in with a 5 lot. Right here, I would be up, however much that is. US 30, I see a trade on US 30. Just 1 second. Let's see how this is gonna go. And then I'll go over that strategy again. So for US 30, we need to see how the 1 minute reacts, but it's coming to our entry point.
So you waiting for it to come to the trend line?
Yes, I'm waiting for it to come to the trend line. And then on the 1 minute, I need to see what happens on the trend line. I don't need any candle to break this trend line. I need a perfect retest and closure above. That is what I want. I don't want a candle. So if it breaks down, I need then the candle to come back up, break above, retest, and close above. So those are the two scenarios, right? So I need a 1 minute candle to come here, test the trend line exactly, because this trend line is to the pip. And for you guys who've seen my entries, a good number of them are no drawdown. So that's how I'm able to have no drawdown trades. So on the 1 minute, I need an exact test. And you see, where does the exact retest fall? It falls on the trend line and on the hourly bullish low, right? And how do I know we're going to get a perfect retest? Like for example, if it's going to hold, look at this candle right here. This candle retested the hourly bullish low to the pip. So if that doesn't happen to this trend line, I am not buying. If it happens, right, if it breaks below, I need then for a possible buy for the candle to come back, break above, retest the 9 EMA and close above. And at that point, I'll enter the buy, whether it's here, so long as it's in this zone, yes, I'll enter that buy. So that's what I'm waiting for that. So you guys just monitor that. If you do see price going to that zone, just alert me. Or maybe let's see. No, it's not yet. The distance between this zone that's 5.7. That's 5.7. So this is a 10 pip. So for EU, if this was EU or gold, I can say you can hop in because it would be like just a few cents or pips. By US 30, this is 10 pips. This is too much. Yeah, so we're not in gold. I was just giving an example on gold. The only thing we're in is EU. Okay, let me go over that strategy again. When if US 30 comes back down, let me know. So it's testing the 9 EMA on the 5 minutes. So this is a tricky one. But no need to rush anything. Okay, so this trend line is on the 5 minute. It's holding.
So you waiting for it to close above on what, the 15 minute?
No, I don't use the 15 minute on any time frame. I use the 5 minute. So it's the 1 minute. So I need the 1 minute to come and retest. Because ideally this trend line, did I draw it on the 5 minute or on the 1 minute? Give me 1 second because I'm trying to see why there's that discrepancy. I definitely drew it on the 1 minute. Okay, yeah. So I'm not interested in what's happening on the 5 minute. I need this retest to happen on the 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need this retest. Whatever candle is gonna retest, I need a test to the pip. if a candle breaks and closes below the trend line, that buy is invalidated. Then for me to re-enter a buy, I need another candle to close, a 1 minute candle to close above the trend line and retest and close above. So it's all about patience for that one. So if it goes away, that's fine. That's just my own way of doing it. We've done this before where we just had to wait for price to come down, and it definitely does. So if it doesn't, that's well and good. So for gold, the strategy I was talking about, right? So before I realized, so I've always used this indicator on TradingView, but I definitely have noticed that my candles are they're colored using the trend or whatnot. Because ideally, one other thing I learned is that using candles, just regularly colored candles like green and red, sometimes it messes with your psychology. I don't like this gold chart because I have that whole sell zone, and I'll use EU. Maybe EU is less colorful. Nope, I think I still had. So some of these colored candles, like if it's colored based on bearish or bullish, sometimes it messes with your psychology. So one thing a couple of people have done is either not using, I think these are called Japanese candlesticks. So either not using any colors in your candlesticks or using line charts or whatnot, so that when you're in a trade, you're not really being messed up by seeing a red candle when you're in a buy. But ideally, so this indicator, right, it's using the candles are colored based on trend. Okay, so we definitely, even before I realized this, we definitely did have a reversal strategy. So our reversal strategy was always, if you're in a trend and you're wanting to catch the reversal, you need a 5-minute candle to close above the 9 EMA and retest the 9 EMA. That is what you need. And mostly you'll get those trends before heavy news events and after news events, or sometimes you'll just get them randomly, like on a Monday or Wednesday. So, and we do know that reversals are, you can catch a lot of money with them, right? So that is why we're looking for reversals, especially also if, let's say price has been selling and we missed a sell area, right? So this here we had an hourly bearish low. So let's say we were looking for sells on gold. No, this is EU. And then by the time we are starting the live session, price is here. There's no sell markup in this zone whatsoever, right? So you can FOMO in and jump in and hope that price is going to keep going down. But guess what? What goes up comes back down. What goes down comes back up, right? So you just wait for the first time price is going to close above and retest the 9 EMA. So in this particular instance, after this trend to the downside, and let's say we started the live session here, I don't know if that's where we started, but just, no, it's not there. But we're just assuming. So we see that EU is in a downtrend. We missed a sell here, and we can't catch any other sell because we don't have any markups for a sell. Then we just wait for price to close above the 9 EMA on the 5-minute and retest the 9 EMA. And that's why I have these alerts here. EU crossing 9 EMA, gold crossing 9 EMA, and US 30 crossing 9 EMA. I can't emphasize how important those alerts have been to me, right? So you would get an alert here because price closed above the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. But guess what? When you get that alert, come to the computer. Don't enter that trade on impulse. But if you want to enter on impulse, you're better than the person who FOMO'd into a buy here or just randomly. But you just wait for confirmation. The next candle closes below the 9 EMA. You just go about your duties or whatever. You wait for the next alert to fire. This other candle comes back up, closes above the 9 EMA. So what are you looking for? You're looking for the next candle to retest the 9 EMA and close above the 9 EMA. So either to retest the 9 EMA and close above, or even though it's going to break below the 9 EMA, you want it to close above the 9 EMA. Guess what? The next candle does that. You enter your buy here. This is a perfect, right? Even though the trend right now, just ignore the trend, the red color, right? So I'm just showing the original strategy as it was before. So you enter your buy there, 20 pips stop loss, 20 pip take profit. Is that 20 pips? What is this? EU? I think that's 20 pips. Yeah, that's 20 pips. You let that trade run, right? At the height of this candle, you would have been up maybe 18 pips. So that was the original strategy. That is how we catch reversals. Now, with this indicator, with that particular setting that's enabled change bar color, what you need to do in addition to that, well and good. What you need to do, you need to wait. If the trend is down, you need to wait then. And ideally, you want a long trend. You don't want maybe this is a few red candles and then you see a few green candles. No, no, no. You want like this. To me, this is a trend. This is obviously a trend, right? And then you start seeing this balance out. So currently there's no way to get an alert for these candles, which is what I'm working on, like a system that can give us that. But if you're lucky enough and you're in front of the charts and you see this green candle, now you know that, guess what? We are possibly starting a trend to the upside. So you can either, I don't recommend entering on impulse. The system that I'll have built, unfortunately, unfortunately, the signals will be given on close of the candle. So here we'll be having a buy signal, for example. And then if you've automated that to take trades automatically on your MT4, you'll be filled in for a buy here. So ideally, right, that would be the trade. But if you're in front of the charts, you need to always follow our confluences. Don't just use one strategy without a confluence. So even for this trade, you'd have still been in profit. But the perfect entry, you need to wait for the retest of the 9 EMA. So remember, our entries are either retest of 9 EMA, retest of a trend line, retest of structure. So you draw your trend line is right there. Your trend line is too far away. Delete that. So wait for the retest of the 9 EMA. Come here, get a retest of the 9 EMA. So for these trades, you can enter on impulse. If you want good confirmation, wait for price to retest and close above. Actually, yeah, no, this would have been the trade. Retest and close above of the EMA, of the 9 EMA. Personally, I do not wait for a closure above or whatnot for this particular strategy. I enter on impulse. So for me, the trade would be here. Based on our strategy, this would be the trade. And that's how you write that trade. It would still, right now, still be in break even, around break even. But you could have been up about 10 pips for this trade. So that is how you do those trades. And these trades definitely, especially if the trend has been long, like that particular gold sell that I took up here, like the bullish trend on the 5-minute was so long. Like for a whole day, there was not even 2 bearish candles, right? Because this was yesterday. So for me, this was a no-brainer. Also, I had a supply zone within a supply zone. So that is how you use that particular strategy. Now, if you want to use that by itself without using any of my strategies, you should be fine, but always wait for a retest of the 9 EMA if you want to have a better entry. And the reason I say I enter on impulse is because once the trend starts, you might get a candle that pushes so heavily and you might not get like a perfect retest and closure. So as soon as price so for me, as soon as price touched the 9 EMA here on gold, I did not care whether this candle was going to go all the way up. I just entered my sell because like you also need to backtest, right? Just look at going back, right? If you're backtesting this, how many times has this failed? So here, right, there was this, I wouldn't consider this a trend. I consider this more consolidating, but you see the trend was ideally bullish. You get a first red candle, wait for a retest, enter a sell here, 1939, goes down to 1936. So that's why for gold especially, I'm saying go for 20 pips. Don't go for 50 pips. Yeah, so look at all of this right here. If you wait for a retest of the 9 EMA, enter here 41, 43. So risk, like backtesting this even visually, you have a lot of wins. Look at this. Bearish from here, trend goes all the way down, not a single green candle shows up, retest, get in heavy, especially after heavy trends like this. I would say go for it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't understand the lines though, like all these different lines you got, the bullish,
okay. So those lines are order blocks. So other than the previous weekly high, previous weekly low, those are order blocks. You know what order blocks are?
Yeah, kind
Okay.
of.
Yeah, so it's ideally where institutions, so market movers, or what are they called? What's the other name? Market makers, or banks, or people with a lot of money, institutions with a lot of money. That's where they buy and sell. So that is where, so when it's a 30-minute bullish, it just means that's where a lot of liquidity was pumped up. So a bullish zone, on that particular time frame, that is where a lot of liquidity was pumped up for a buy or a sell in that particular time frame. So that is all that means. So for me, I don't like using the 30-minute and 15-minute buy. So if this was just a 30-minute without the 15-minute, I would not have looked for this buy. So I don't, not that it doesn't work out, but I trust hourly all the way to weekly zones or markups more than the 30-minute and 15-minute. So daily zones, so you rarely find daily bearish highs or daily bearish zones, daily bullish zones, and weekly bullish zones. So you rarely find those. So for me, when those zones come up on a chart, so if we had a weekly or a daily or a 4-hour bullish zone here, in addition to the 30-minute and 15-minute, honestly, I would have hammered a 20 lot buy here on EU, right? Because those higher time frames that are so rare to come by, the price reacts so heavily on them because price hasn't been on that or in that area for either weeks or for a couple of days, if that makes sense, or sometimes a couple of months. So that's what those lines are. So yeah. And definitely for me, I only consider, or I only look, so right now, based on the way I'm trading, I subconsciously ignore any line that's not where price is at. Right, so right here, like right now, if we're trading, I'm only focusing on this one. I don't care about the hourly bearish low. But if I'm sending these markups in the morning, and this has happened ideally time and time again, when I send these markups in the morning, look at where you have the supply zones. You can even actually, for this particular one, ignore all the lines. When I send these markups in the morning, check these zones that I've shaded, right? Especially if there's news, go ahead and set a pending, like right here, you should have had maybe a pending sell, you should have had a pending buy here. So ignore these lines unless you guys use them. So I don't know, actually, that's the other thing. I don't know how useful these lines are to you guys. If they're not, maybe I don't need to be sending these screenshots in the group. But if they are, let me know, that I'll keep sending them. But if I send this like in the group in the morning, ignore the lines, just only use the shaded. So the shaded areas are where order blocks overlap. And I don't know if US 30, I don't, anyway, I already made, hopefully somebody caught US 30. I'll see what we got. But anyway, when I send these markups, ignore the lines. If you're not sure how to use them yet, use these supply and demand zones and watch price at that area. So just zone out of these lines and use that supply and demand area. Let's see, for US 30.
I was watching US 30, but I got a call at work. I missed it. It went up already.
Okay, so we didn't get a perfect retest, but that's fine. Today I'm actually being careful. The other thing, if you guys have been with me, remember we always divide these zones into 3. So we have an hourly bullish high. It's a high time frame order block. So we divide these zones into 3: top, middle, and bottom. So 270 to 244. I'll call this 275 to 245. That is 30. So 15 would be 60, around 60 or 55. So we divide this zone into 3. And then what we do, we have a filler trade set. Let's see. We have a filler trade set right here. We have another trade set in the middle, and we have another trade. Actually, we haven't done that on the live session. So we have a ton of strategies. So you could have entered a filler buy here. You could have had another pending buy in the middle and another pending buy at the bottom. So today, honestly, I'm just being safe. I don't feel like losing or risking my profits. But there was a lot of entries here. For me, this was the perfect entry. But based on how we trade, so when we get these zones, hourly zones and 4-hour zones, we don't do that on the 30-minute really. So when we get these hourly and 4-hour zones, we draw a rectangle between the high and low of that zone and divide that zone into 3. And then we set 3 pending orders. So, but for this one, because it's US 30, there's no need to set 3 because this is only a 30 pip zone and no need for you to possibly get stopped out on 3 trades. So the first trade you'd get in, it's a filler trade, so very small lot size. You'd get in at the top of that zone. The next trade you'd get in at the middle, but because this was a 30 pip zone, I would only recommend to have 1 trade at the top and 1 trade at the bottom. So if you had done that, you would have been filled in. So whether you set 3 trades, whether you set 2 trades, you should be in profit like just 1. So remember, and this is why I share with you guys all of these strategies. I'm not gonna remember all these strategies every time I trade, especially if I've made money before New York. But it's up to you guys to remember those strategies so that if I don't take any trade on the live session, then you guys are still in profit. But we are still in profit in EU, so that is fine. And look, this is what we want, right? So this is how I get no drawdown trades. And this is what I want to see. Like I want to see price being retested to the pip of my entry, and then there you go. So US 30, that took off without us. For any other possible buy, again, still need a retest of this trend line, but that will happen maybe after the live session. So I don't know if anybody caught anything with US. There was definitely entries. The entry I marked up, again, I don't know where the market is gonna go, which brings me to another point I wanna go over. Does anybody have any question? There's something I really wanna go over that I think will be.
I had a quick question. I'm fairly new, but I kind of got an understanding. So on EU, I know you said the perfect entry, if you wanted to scale up, would it have been if that candle had closed above that trend line?
Correct.
But it had actually closed
below, right? So
below, right?
Yeah.
And so and so I had went into drawdown, but then it had went back up due to the fact that it had touched the EMA.
Yeah, so here the EMA is definitely holding it up. The channel is definitely holding it up. So this was a very dangerous candle right here. This because it retested the trend line and closed below. But guess what? Even though that happened, actually, if I saw this, I could have entered even with a heavier buy. But when that happened, guess what that candle did? It retested exactly our entry, the 15-minute bullish high to the pip, and closed above it. Now, this would have been even a heavier buy you could have gotten in. Because the worst thing, so this was a terrible candle for us because it retested that. This candle broke the trend line. This bearish candle broke the trend line, closed below our trend line. The next candle retested the EMA on the 5-minute and retested our trend line and closed below. Now, the worst thing, it's a terrible candle, but the worst thing it could have done would have been to close below the 15-minute bullish high and possibly even the 30-minute bullish low. Then at that point, EU might have dropped. But when it came back down...
See, that's kind of what happened to me on AU, right? But what I did was I moved the trend line down. And to me, as long as it's still going up, I'll stick it out. But once it breaks to the down and closes, like once it's a down, then I would get out.
Yep. Yeah. So for me, this particular EU, normally EU, I'm just gonna take the L if I need to. So 20 pips is not a lot, right? But if you look at our chart, remember most of the people who trade pairs out there have like a 50 pips, 60 pips stop loss. So 20 pips is really nothing. So for EU to actually break all the way down here, especially, look, we're trading with a trend and all of that. We have all our confluences aligning. So rarely, I know I got stopped out of EU yesterday. That was during news. But if you guys remember, price literally came back down after stopping us out during FOMC. But rarely, I don't want to say I haven't lost a good EU trade, but rarely will EU just go on a mind of its own against some of these trades. Yeah, so for me personally, EU, even though it breaks, I normally just hold it. If I lose, I lose. Gold is the one that I wouldn't want to play with because gold, remember, our stop loss for gold is 50 pips. But EU, it's only 20 pips. And EU, this is another perfect, like FX pairs using that reversal strategy is another perfect entry you can use to do those only 3 trades a month to pass your challenge just using 3 trades. Because think about it, right? If our take profit is 20 pips, and ideally it's normally between 20 and 50, but just keep in mind, let's say 20 pips. You have a 200. So let me use maybe a 100K account, right? Have a 100K account, risk 2%. Risk 2%. If this trade hits, you make 2K. If this trade loses, you lose 2K. So if you make 2 grand, you only need for most props, you only need 8K. So that's on 100K, so that's 8%, right? So you only need 4 of these trades in a month. And we've ideally gotten an EU trade every day of the week. Maybe not. So this is the first time we're trading using this strategy or incorporating this strategy as a Confluence. But guess what? You make two grand there, or what is that? 2% there. We wait. Maybe we'll get another trade on Wednesday. You make another possible 2K. Maybe the third trade you lose. You come back to 2K. That trade, maybe it aligns with a daily bearish or bullish area, or weekly. Instead of risking 2%, what is that? Instead of risking 2%, maybe you risk 4, or maybe you still risk 2%. Use a 20 lot. Instead of going for 20 pips, go for 10 pips. You're still risking 2%. With a 20 lot, if the 20 pips hits, you make 4K, you're up again. So it's all like a math game. So this is why also the other day I just stopped referencing money, and nowadays I'm just referencing percentages, if that makes sense. So yeah, this trade's easy passing challenges using 4 trades only. Is there any other question somebody has? There's something I want to go over that's more of a psychology thing. No? Okay, perfect. So probably you guys have heard this book, Trading in
I was on mute. I was on mute. I had a question for you real quick. Sorry. Just to put into perspective for me, because I'm new to like marking up charts. Can you tell me, am I looking at the 30-minute, the 15-minute, the daily, the weekly? Like what is the most simplest strategy for me to use as far as marking up my charts?
Okay, if you're new, so I'm thinking about me. Okay, if I was new and I was starting, if you're starting, definitely do the weekly and the daily. Remember, you can use that smart money concept indicator before you learn how to draw order blocks manually. So there's a ton of videos available, whether it's on YouTube or whatnot. So, but in the meantime, you can use that smart money concept by Lux Algo. But just make sure, so that indicator will give you a lot of order blocks in whatever time frame. Use the bearish and bullish order blocks that are closest to price in that time frame. So ignore all the other ones that are farther away from price. So definitely do weekly, daily, do the 4-hour, and do the hourly. Maybe 30-minute. Don't do the 15-minute if you're just starting. So use that. And if price is and when using that, so another way to also draw the supply and demand zones, because my supply and demand zones are where order blocks overlap. So if you use that indicator, I don't know if I can find an example, but if you use that indicator and see there's a place that bearish order blocks overlap, go ahead and mark that as a supply zone or as a demand zone. So that's why I have like this red areas or green areas. And sometimes you'll find a supply zone within a supply zone, right? So that's why sometimes you'll see I have like this red area, but there's an area in there that's a higher shade of red. So if price comes in here, I don't have any business selling EU here. For any particular sell, I need to wait for price to go into, so I call it a supply zone within a supply zone. So that's where probability for me is high. And guess what? It lines up with an hourly bearish high and hourly bearish low, if that makes sense. So for you, definitely do weekly, daily, do weekly down to the 30-minute. No need for the 15-minute if you don't have time to. Again, if you don't have time to, you can do down to the 30-minute, because sometimes even for me who marks all the way down to 15 minutes, there are times we don't have this markup, or price is not even close to any of these markups. So that's when we then need to start using trend lines. So start marking up those, but I would definitely recommend for you to learn how to draw trend lines. And if you're drawing trend lines, again, remember for you guys, it's your prerogative to learn how to draw trend lines, because I draw my trend lines on MT4. as you guys can see, we already have a ton of lines, horizontal lines, so I don't want to keep having diagonal lines and all of that, whatever. So for me, I draw trend lines on MT4. Use this indicator, the same indicator we are talking about, to draw a trend line. Always start your trend line from, your trend line shouldn't originate from an area that hasn't been established. So for example, I can't start this trend line on this candle because this candle has not been established as structure. So always start your trend line at a lower low, at a high low, at a lower high, at a higher low, or whatnot. And then do it on the 5 minute if you can already see a trend. So do it on the 5 minute. Remember to touch your trend line to another zone. But if you see a trend forming on the 5 minute, and you definitely see, so remember this indicator is lagging. So sometimes, for example, right here, if I was to draw this trend line, so this indicator identifies these high-low areas after 5 candles. That's the default setting. If you want, you can change it in here to like 3 candles or whatnot, but I don't change that. So let's say I was drawing this trend line right here, right? And I saw this high-low established. And then after this candle closed, I see maybe this, right? Ideally, when price was here, we didn't know that this would be a lower high. But so this is what we call a hanging trend line. So for this trend line to hold, or to see if it's holding, we go down to the 1 minute. Guess what happens? If you go down to the 1 minute, this higher high or this zone would have already been established. So it's not established on the 5 minute, but it's established on the 1 minute. So at that point, it's established on the 1 minute, but on the 5 minute, it's still a hanging trend line. So when does a trend line become official? On the 5 minute. A trend line becomes static or official on the 5 minute if you have a confirmed point of origin and a next point of origin, or a consecutive point of origin. So if I was drawing this trend line, I would not delete this trend line. So if that makes sense. So master, actually right now, just you can use our bullish zones if you don't have time to do that, but master the trend lines for now. Master those trend lines because I know like Livy in here, definitely he's done a lot of trading with trend lines. Like for me, if maybe I'm on vacation or whatnot and I don't have time to mark up the order blocks, I can literally trade from my MT4 just by catching trades. So let me show you. So I hope that answers your question, but I'll show you guys like an example of how my MT4 looks. Does that answer your question on what to focus on?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so let me show you guys. So US30 is bullish. I want to show you guys my chart. So draw them on your, if you're comfortable having a lot of lines. And also here's the other thing, there's this indicator if you want to try it out. It's called trend lines. Is it V2 trend line? I forget who it's by. Yeah, trend lines by Lonesome. So it's the one with 5,250 downloads. So if you want to apply that to your chart, but if you're using it on US30 or whatever asset, you might need to change the bars to have like a lower count, and then show old lines as dashed. No, I don't want that. So you can use that indicator on TradingView. So this is ideally, this is how my MT4 looks. I don't use this trend line, but you can see that these trend lines are holding even with this particular indicator. But that's why I don't like drawing trend lines on my TradingView, because already I have a lot of lines. But that's if you don't have a lot of lines on your TradingView, put this indicator on your chart. So let me show you guys how my MT4 looks before I go. I know we are past, because I normally stop streaming at 11, but it's fine. So I'll show you guys. So this is my stop share. Let me try and share this. Share screen, snipping tool, share, right? So this is, it's a lot to look at. So that's the current trade we're in, the buy. I went in with a 2 lot. So for me, I don't care. So if TradingView freezes today or whatnot, I can use MT4 to trade. So I use all these trend lines. I just use them subconsciously. And remember, for MT4, this is not what I'm seeing. I just zoomed out so I can show you guys what it looks like. But if I zoom in, because I trade when it's zoomed in, so I'm not really seeing all these indicators. So let's say price is around this zone right here, right? and we get an entry, a possible entry for a buy, I'll look at my MT4, and I've done this in the past. I'll tell you guys, guess what? I have a trend line here that I drew. I think maybe this one I drew maybe 2 or 3 days ago. And guess what? Like, this is not a trend line I drew today, but look at that. That trend line, it's holding to the pip, like literally, right? So guess what? If I saw an entry here, if we had an entry right here at the bottom for a buy, I would be like, okay, guys, guess what? I have a trend line that I drew 2 days ago, and it's been holding here. It held here. So if we get a confirmation for a buy here, this is why sometimes I even go for 50 lots or 100 lots on US30 for you guys who've seen how I trade, right? So, and then guess what? Look at what happened when price retested that trend line. It goes all the way up here. I know it looks like a lot of things, but this is not how I'm looking at my MT4. Remember, I just zoomed out so that I can show you guys I do not delete any of my trend lines. So when I'm zoomed in, I'm maybe only seeing this particular area right here. I'm maybe only seeing that area right here. So I'm not seeing this, I'm not seeing that. I don't care about that. I only care about the zone I'm trading. So if that makes sense. So yeah, learn how to draw trend lines if you don't already know, because of course I don't know if you know how to draw them, but definitely learn how to draw them on your MT4. If you prefer them to be on TradingView, draw them on TradingView, and do not, I can't insist that enough, do not delete your trend lines.
Yeah, no, he's not lying. That since I've been doing the trend lines on MT4, I've been a lot more successful trading.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely do that. You know, these are all free gems. I used to, I don't want to say how much I used to charge going over these strategies, since this is a recorded session, but I'll tell you guys once I'm done recording. But I used to charge a lot of money just going through all of this. So I'm ideally giving you guys just a good, I don't call it the holy grail. I don't pretend to know what the market is doing, but I've been trading this thing for daily, especially US30, for the last 3 years. So I've picked up a couple of things. So the last thing, does anybody have any questions before I go over this? No? All right, so
yeah,
this
so,
okay, go
do you
ahead.
know you know how you said what's it called, the photo, the image that you just showed, you know, the all the trend lines. You know how you said that you don't look at all of them. So how would you know, for example, you know, that price, how would you know it won't come down, like it won't just shoot down?
So I don't, right? So let me let me show you, right? Let me reshare this. So I just zoomed into what I see, like what I trade with. So you guys already saw what I shared before. So what I shared before is when I zoomed out so that I can show you guys the whole thing. So let me show you guys what I normally see when I'm trading. So when I'm trading, snipping tool, so it's the same chart. And right now you can start moving your stop loss in or break even or whatnot, because it's past 11. So EU might. So this is what I'm seeing, right? It's a stark comparison to, because what we were seeing before, we were seeing trend lines from way back. So question is, how do I know? So I do not, right? Because as a trader, you don't, and that's one of the things I want to go over. But if I'm trading here, when price came here, like, okay, when price was here, I wasn't seeing, let me use this. When price was here, based on how MT4 moves, I wasn't seeing this, right? Because this was away from price. This zone right here, or this column or row with the dates, was somewhere here when price was down here, right? So, and let me delete all of this. So I wasn't seeing this. And then guess what? If price comes down, if I'm looking for so let's say I'm looking for a buy, and already I have started drawing my trend line here. So for any buy on EU, I need a retest of this trend line. So this had already been retested. So I didn't know that this was going to be the low of that trend line or of that price at that point. So I'm either looking, if I'm looking for a buy, and this is how I can literally just trade trend lines. If I have already started drawing that trend line, I drew it to touch that, and I drew it to touch that, right? Because remember, trend line, you need a confirmation. You need a point of origin. You need a next confirmed point of origin. So for me to trade this trend line, even blindly without caring about what price is doing, I'm looking for price to retest this trend line. And we've done this before, and I'm going to buy. So at this point, I could have blindly bought EU right here. And guess what? I made money. I could have blindly sold EU here. Guess what? I'm going to make money. But guess what? I start seeing, as price starts moving along, I start seeing these two trend lines that I've drawn before, right? Previously, when price was here, I was only seeing this trend line to the upside. I start seeing this particular, and I see two of them. It's even better when I see two trend lines going in the same direction. Here you have two trend lines I drew way back that are going to the upside. And then I have this trend line channel to the downside. And guess what? Price is breaking away from the channel. So when price starts moving away, you know what I normally do? I start looking for another trend line to draw. So actually this trend line should go this way. So this is a trend line. So when price starts moving away from a channel, whether it's to the right or to the left, I start drawing another trend line to the upside, because that shows a reversal. Because what that does, it draws like I don't want to draw too many things here. What that does, it draws like a W pattern, right? So you know the M patterns, you know the W patterns. So what that does is price does something like that. So what my interest, when price is breaking out of this channel, my interest is now, guess what? I need to find a lower low or a high low. So when one gets established, so I'm almost sure that this is some point of origin, I draw a trend line that way, and then it's aligning with two trend lines from way back. I look for a buy, I ride that thing all the way up, if that makes sense. So you're right. I don't know when I'm trading this way, I don't know when the next trend line is going to show up. But then if it does and it aligns with my confluences for a buy or for a sell, I wait for a retest and I buy or sell that thing. So I can literally trade like for the next 2 days or for however long, I can literally trade without looking at TradingView. Does that make sense, or does that answer your question?
Yeah. So when you said, when you establish the higher high or the higher low, right, and then you draw the trend line from the top of the wick, right, and then because and then to the is it the higher low or is it the at the bottom?
So
Yeah.
what you mean, like
So
okay,
for example, yeah.
Oh no, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. So how you've done it, like from the lower low and then to the top, like you've done the two trend lines. So this would be on the 5 minute, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So you want to start your trend even on MT4. I do not draw it. Actually, the only time I draw it on TradingView is when I'm doing it live with you guys. Because on MT4, my goal is that I'm gonna use those trend lines in future. I don't care about right now. They come in handy in future. So you want to start from the 5 minute. If you go down to the 1 minute, you'll see that they're holding. You'll see that they're holding. So right now, you see on the 1 minute they're holding. But on the other hand, remember, I said I hate drawing trend lines and price is crossing through. So for me right now, I consider this more of a channel as opposed to a trend line, right? Because channels mostly are equidistant. And also the other thing, when you guys are drawing trend lines, make sure you have the top of that trend line. If it's a descending channel, ascending channel, make sure you have a high and a low, or a top and a bottom of that trend line. So for me, I would consider this a channel and not a trend line. So there's still trend lines, it's semantics, but I consider this more of a trend line, because to me, what I want a trend line to be is, let me see, a trend line needs to have a point of origin, a confirmed point of origin, and then touch another point of continuation. So here you can see that there's no, for this lower low, we need a lower high. So in any case, the trend line here is this. So this is more of a channel in my case. You can use those terms interchangeably, but I like just knowing what I'm trading. So for me, this is the trend line. This is confirmed as a lower low, this is confirmed as a lower high. So for me, this is the trend line. So actually look at that. Even though we had drawn this previously, look at price rejected exactly at that trend line, right? And closed above that trend line. So what you want to see, since this indicator is lagging, is that you're anticipating that this will be the next high low for continuation to the upside. So for me, yeah, this zone right here, I consider it a channel and not a trend line. It started off as a trend line, right? But because price cut through it so many times, to me, that became a channel and not a trend line. Any other questions? We are almost at, we are still over time, but it's fine. I'm here for you guys. So does anybody have any questions? And we're almost hitting TP. So put that trade at break even or secure some. Okay. Any other questions that you guys have? Okay, perfect. So another win. There you go, full TP on that trade. There you go, full TP. So another amazing win. So we are still up. So beginning next week, I said we'll start counting or basing our wins and losses as percentage, and I'll start a spreadsheet for that. So that will only count the trades we take on the live session or trade ideas I send in the group. So that's not going to count any trades I take, because sometimes, like in a day, you guys have seen that up, especially news days. Personally, I'll probably do 5% or 10%. So, but I just want to show you guys how you can just pass a challenge slow but sure with our trade, with taking these trades with proper risk management. Okay, so this book, and I'll start a new area in the Discord. So we already have a mindset area in the Discord. So go ahead and look that up. So remember, mindset is a big thing, is a big thing in trading. So I'll start like an area where we can post books, movies, or shows regarding trading. So the thing I wanted to go about is this book called Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. So this is an amazing book. It just ideally it helps you work on your trading psychology. So I just started listening to it today. So I got the audiobook for it. I'm not much of a reader, so that's why I have the audiobook. If you are a reader, definitely, please, if you like, don't start, if you're new to trading, do not get a challenge without going through this. And so I'm currently in this chapter that goes over, so he has something called attitude survey. So honestly, and we'll go over these questions real quick. It's like 30 or so questions. Attitude survey, trading in the zone. So it was interesting, right? Even for me, the area I'm in right now, asking myself this question. So it's like 30 questions. So just take some time and ask yourself some of these questions. Let me know if you guys cannot see them and I can zoom more, but I think you guys can see them. So let's just go over a couple of them, right? So it's ideally an agree or disagree or yes and no question. So ideally, this is not a test. You're not getting graded on it. So you should literally be honest with yourself, right? So honestly, I'll go over these questions and answer ideally how I'm answering or how I answered, right? So to make money as a trader, you have to know what the market is going to do next. So that's a no. Previously, I've had people ask me, where is gold gonna go? Where's the trade gonna go? So this one with EU, I did not know EU is gonna go up, right? But my confluences told me that you have more probability, the probabilities are on your end for EU to go up. Why? Because on the hourly, we anticipated for a head and shoulders to be created. Remember, we had this same trade with gold, exactly the same textbook trade. We saw this head and shoulders being created on gold when gold was down here. And guess what? We caught a buy on gold for like 50 pips and rode price up. And then from there, gold created the right shoulder and dropped. This was the same thing that was happening. So we anticipated head and shoulders to be created on EU. We had our confluences, we had our trend lines. So honestly, did I know EU was going to go up? No, I don't know whether EU is going to go up, but it was more probable based on our strategies that EU is going to go up. So to make money as a trader, you have to know that is no, you do not. So if you answer yes to this question, then you need to go back and kind of see why you think so. Sometimes I find myself thinking that there must be a way to trade without having to take a loss. When I started trading, I wanted to win every trade. Like losing, I just wanted to be in blue. I would hold a trade in drawdown and end up blowing my account just because I wanted to prove to myself that I can win. You cannot have 100% win rate. Even hedge funds and banks do not have that. Making money as a trader is primarily a function of analysis. So this is what we are, right? We analyze. I've been in a lot of groups that only take one trade a day. Personally, we analyze, we talk a lot, whether it's strategy, but we end up taking maybe sometimes 3 or 4 trades a day. So primarily, probably, I think it's one of the primary functions of trading. Losses are an unavoidable component of trading, yes. So ideally, the idea behind this, look up, if you even don't want to read the whole book, look up Attitude Survey, Trading in the Zone. It's this link right here. go over these 30 questions and answer them truthfully. Like, be honest to yourself. Because when I was answering these questions, like I just gave you an example for number 2, I'm like, okay, at this point I realize I can take a loss. So, but when I first started trading, I did not want to have a loss. You know, I wasn't using stop losses. I was extending my stop losses. But right now, when stop loss hits, right? I think there was also 3 more things. I think I forget, but they're in the beginning of the book. So be true to yourself. Know that losses are there to be taken. We haven't taken a loss today. We are up for the week heavy, but I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I did not adapt to the market and if I did not adapt to being a better trader psychologically. But definitely, please go over these 30 questions, be true to yourself and answer them. So that should be it for the day. We will trade tomorrow with our strategy. You know, Fridays, yes, they're manipulation days. Mondays, yes, but we've had Fridays. I think one Friday 2 weeks ago, we made a killing. So long as we are confident with our strategies, we don't care whether it's Monday, whether it's NFP, whether it's CPI. At the least, we are going to be careful with our entries and use proper risk management. But I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Does anybody have any question? No? Okay. Perfect. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, bro.
All right, bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.